there, it's Lauren. Today I'm going to share a quick series to strengthen and mobilize your hips. You might want a yoga block. We'll use it in a couple of different places. If you don't have a yoga block, you can use a pillow or a book or something like that. And we're going to start laying down on our sides. So here I'm going to use the block as a pillow. And I have my hip bones stacked over each other and slightly rolled forward. I'm thinking about pulling my ribs in. My heels are pulling back towards my bottom just a little bit. We're going to do some clamshells. So here, I'm opening my top knee. As I open my knee, I'm thinking about continuing to reach my hip bone forward. When we do our clamshells, we want to feel the work in the back, in the side of our butt, rather than around our hip bone. So if you're feeling it more like where your pocket would be, you should roll your hips farther forward. So you're almost turning your chest towards the floor a little bit. Now it's also super important that our pelvis stays still while we do this. So you can always take your top arm across your low back to help you feel whether or not you're wiggling in your middle. And of course I'm not counting because I'm talking. So I'm going to do 2 more. And then I'm going to open my knee up and hold it there. I'm going to keep my knee up and I'm going to lift my top foot, thinking about pressing my heel towards the ceiling. And then I'm going to take my foot back down, trying to keep pressing my knee up. So here we're going into internal and external rotation. I want to keep my top knee and my thigh at the same height the whole time. And I also want to keep my pelvis still. So no turning and letting the hip hike or the waist crunch. I'm continuing to stay aware of what's happening at the base of my ribs, so I'm not arching as my leg moves. I'm going to do 2 more. And then I'm going to lift my leg up and out, kind of like the angle that it would be in if I was in a straddle. I like having my foot flexed here. We're going to do the same motion of internal and external rotation. So I'm pressing my heel up and then bringing it towards my midline. You're going to move less, so you'll see less rotation, but it will be much harder. And again, continuing to pay attention to my pelvis, pay attention to my ribs and abdominals, staying connected and still. I'm going to do 2 more, getting a little bit tired in my butt. I'm going to take that leg all the way down. And then I'm going to make a full rotation with my hip joint. So from this starting position, and again, really paying attention to my pelvis staying steady, I'm going to hover my knee and pull it up into my chest. It's going to lift up and out like I'm trying to pull it into my armpit. And then it circles up and around behind me. I'm trying to press my knee up towards the ceiling and lift my foot until my knee has to come back down in line with my hip. And then it draws in again. Here, we're trying to isolate the movement at the joint. So staying really connected through the front of your body so that you're not arching as you circle is going to make this a lot harder and you're going to feel it a lot more. And then we're going to reverse. So I press back, trying to pull my heel to my butt and point my knee to the wall at my feet. And then my knee circles up and around, knee to armpit, knee to chest. We'll do 2 more like this. Last one. And if you're feeling pinching or like sharp pain, don't push into it. Just avoid that range of motion. After we've done 3, we'll rest. I'm going to turn onto my back and do a little figure 4 stretch for that hip because it is nice and tired now. Here you can hold the back of your knee. You can push your top leg knee away. You can do a little rock from side to side, whatever feels good for your body. Just take a couple deep breaths. and then we'll switch sides. So here again, getting ready for clamshells, my hip bones are stacked up. That means that the bottom of my waist might not touch the mat. If I let myself relax here, my top hip is going to creep towards my ribs. So I'm thinking about reaching my top hip away from me and feeling a little bit of space down here. Again, there can be that little bit of a roll forward, and my top knee opens up. You can always bring your top arm across your low back to help you stay connected to what's happening through your spine and pelvis. And as my knee lifts up, I'm thinking about continuing to reach my hip bone forward. That's going to help me stay still. Let's do 3 more. And then we'll lift the knee up and hold it there. Foot lifts. And as the foot comes down, knee presses up. We're doing around 10, I think. Enough that you feel the burn, basically, is what we're going for. And be aware here of what your foot is doing. If your foot is really lifting up, it's going to change what's happening at your hip. So think about the heel pressing up and the toe pressing down. Let's do 2 more. And then that leg is going to lift up and out into your straddle position. And then again, we're going to go internal, external. You might notice that you have a much harder time stabilizing your pelvis here. Just work at it. That's part of what we're doing. I'm thinking about drawing my pubic bone to the base of my ribs to help me stay steady through the pelvis. All right, let's do 2 more. And all the way down, and then we're gonna do our joint rotation. So, pulling the knee up into the chest, up and out to the armpit, and up and around behind us, really fighting through the front of the body to keep the pelvis and spine still. And draw it back in. We'll do 2 more. If you cramp a little bit in the back while you're pressing your leg towards the wall behind you, that just means you're doing it right. And then we'll switch, pressing back, drawing up through the front of the body to resist that arch in the back. Knee to armpit, knee to chest, and again. Last one. And rest. And then again, you can come onto your back. Take a little figure 4. Whew. Booty's getting tired. All right. So when you're ready, we're going to come onto our hands and knees. And we're going to come into a position that I call potato bug. So you might want the block here. We're going to be sitting our heels back towards our butt and coming onto our elbows. The block can go between your heel and your butt, so you're sitting on it. And then there's other ways that you can make this easier or harder. So to make it easier, I can tuck my toes and sit back this way. I can also change the height of the block. Usually this way isn't going to be super successful, but you can certainly do it here, 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 and this is going to be the hardest way to do it. So I'm going to do it here, but you can figure out whatever works for you. I'm on my elbows, and in this position, it's really keeping my spine a little bit round. So I'm not going to be able to move my pelvis and my spine while I'm moving my leg. And that's our goal, because we're working on hip extension, which is all butt and hamstring. So one leg is going to go back. I like a little bit of a flex in the foot here, and I'm actively thinking about pressing back through my heel. That's going to help me keep my knee straight. And then I'm going to lift my leg. Doesn't have to go high to be hard. I'm really pressing into the ground with my elbows too, and I think I'm going to go up onto my toe. There we go. This is 8 for me. I'm going to do 2 more. And then I'm going to bend my knee, pull my heel to my butt. You can keep your flex if you like it, or point. Doesn't make a big difference. And then I'm going to lift my foot towards the ceiling. We're just going to do 5 of these. Then I'm going to lift my leg up, and I'm going to circle it around so it's in line with my hip. It goes back, up, and down. Now, the thing to be careful about here is that as you're opening your knee out to the side, you might shift a little bit to get out of the way. And we want to keep the body still and only move the knee. We're trying to keep it as high as we can, but it is going to drop down. I'm going to do 3 more of these. One more time. Keep pressing in with your arms. And down, and we'll come all the way out and switch to the other side. So starting with the leg back, foot is flexed, press out through the heel, find a strong connection in the back of your leg and press down through your elbows, and we'll lift. I got 1 more, and then I'm bending my knee, heel to butt, and I press up. We're doing 5. Make sure you're staying active in your upper body. I'm going to do 1 more because I lost track. And then I'm going to lift it up and open it out. We're doing 5 of these. And down. Really fighting through my oblique on this side to keep me stable. Let's do 1 more. And then we'll come all the way out. And we're going to come up into half kneeling. So here, I want my pelvis over my knee. I should be able to lift my front foot off the ground. If I'm pressing too far forward, I can't get my foot up, right? So being able to lift your foot off the ground shows you that you've found your pelvis over your knee position. I'm trying to pull my pubic bone to my ribs, so there's that little bit of curl. I'm squeezing my butt, thinking about reaching my hip bone forward, and my front foot is pressing down and trying to pull back. So really active position here, stretching the front of your hip. We want shoulders over pelvis. You're trying to curl the whole time. Make sure your neck is relaxed. And just take some deep breaths. So now I'm going to straighten my front leg. I'm going to keep my pelvis where it is and just take this leg straight. And I'm going to lean forward here. You can totally support yourself with blocks, like so.
if you need them, because what I want you to focus on is flattening out your spine. So rather than allowing your back to round, to feel like you're folding forward as far as you can, I want you to think about lifting your tail and lifting your chest. So we've got a long line from the tailbone out through the crown of the head. I'm thinking about reaching this hip bone forward, pulling this front leg hip back so that I'm square. And then we're going to try to move the pelvis. So notice my head and shoulders are staying pretty upright, and I'm going to curl from my low back and then lift my tail. And you should really feel your hamstring like wicked strong when you go into that tail lift. We're just going to go back and forth. If you're not feeling it, if that feels really disconnected, come more upright. You're going to be able to find more motion. So the most important thing is that you're working where you can feel and connect to the work rather than pushing yourself to feel like you're in some sort of end range. I'm just going to do a couple more. I'm going to bend my front knee. I'm going to let my head and shoulders come upright. I'm going to take my hands to my hip. Here I'm thinking still about drawing up through my pubic bone. I'm squeezing my butt. And I'm going to press my hips back with my front leg. It's straightening, and I'm hinging my body forward. And then I'm going to come back upright. So I'm trying to find that same long spine position when I am leaning forward over my straight leg. When my front leg is bent, I'm still trying to draw up through the front of my body so I'm not in a big, huge back arch. I'm going to do one more. And then we'll switch sides. So coming back to half kneeling on the other leg, pelvis over knee, tuck in the pelvis, butt is squeezing, front foot is pressing down and pulling back, shoulders upright, ribs are connected, neck is relaxed. Relax. I mean, kinda. You should also stay active and squeezing your butt. And just take some deep breaths here. Feeling length through the front of your kneeling hip. You might feel it all the way down into your knee, depending on how tight your quads are. And just thinking about trying to deepen the curl of your pelvis a little bit each time you exhale. Let's do 2 more breaths. And then the front leg extends, hinge forward. If you're thinking about a nice long spine and lifted tail, neck is long, chest is reaching out. And then we're going to curl and lift the tail, back and forth. Let's do one more. Remember, if you're not connecting to it, just bring your body up higher. And then I'm going to bend into the front knee, hands come to the hips, finding a flat back and an upright posture. I push myself back and hinge forward. And up, and back. Let's do 2 more. Last one. I'm going to come all the way out from that. I'm going to turn to face you, but you don't have to turn. And I'm coming back onto the first knee that I was on, so I'm switching legs. I'm bringing my other leg in front of me, but then I'm going to open it out to the side. So we're going back into that angle of straddle. So So I do want my leg in front of me, right? If it is straight out to the side of my hip, I'm not going to be able to get this side of my pelvis down unless you're really, really mobile. If you have like a flat straddle, you can have your leg more straight out to the side, but I don't. So I have my leg a little bit in front of me, and I'm thinking about my front leg hip dropping down so that my hip bones are level. I'm drawing up through my pubic bone, so that same connection into the front of the body. I'm squeezing my butt on my back leg, and my foot can be kind of in front and out from my knee. I don't want my front foot directly under my knee. From here, I'm going to press my hips forward. And notice as I do that I go to the side, but directionally my energy is going in front, not to the side. As I press forward, I'm trying to deepen that connection from my pubic bone to my ribs. And I'm also feeling my front leg thigh bone kind of twisting and externally rotating in the socket. Feels pretty nice. Again, focusing on keeping the hip bones on the same level the whole time. I'm going to do one more on this side. And then I'll switch sides. So, again, finding that leg out to the side, foot is a little bit in front and away from the knee. Hip bones are level, connection through the abdominals. And I'm squeezing my butt on my kneeling leg. I exhale, I press into it, thinking forward, but allowing myself to shift to the side and back. And again. So we should be feeling deep stretch on this back leg hip. And also this rotation is kind of like screwing into the socket of our front leg. Think about drawing up as you go into the stretch. I'm going to do two more. And come all the way out. And that is it for me today. Thanks for joining me. Hope it was helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more awesome content like this. And I will see you next time. Bye.